He wore his brother's uniform and never came back. WWII 1945. In the winter of 1945, as the final days of World War II bled across Europe, a letter arrived at the O'Connell farmhouse in rural Pennsylvania. It was addressed to Private First Class John O'Connell, a name the War Department knew well. But the woman who opened it, his mother, read it with trembling hands, her heart already bracing for the worst. The letter wasn't what she feared. It simply stated that Private O'Connell had been reassigned to a new unit in France. Nothing more, nothing less. No mention of injury, no word of death. Just movement, a soldier's life. But here's the truth no one at the War Office knew. John O'Connell had gone missing 6 weeks. Earlier, listed as MIA after a failed patrol in the Ardennes. And the man now wearing his uniform was his 17-year-old brother, Michael. Michael had grown up in his brother's shadow. John was stronger, taller, steadier, the kind of older sibling who said little but always showed up. When John enlisted in 1943, Michael stood at the edge of the dirt road waving goodbye. Too young to go, too proud to cry. But when news came that John hadn't returned from the woods outside Bastogne, Michael changed. He stopped eating, stopped talking. And one morning, before sunrise, he walked into the barn and opened the trunk where John's spare uniform still lay, neatly folded. Untouched. It didn't quite fit, but Michael wore it anyway. He tucked his own name beneath a coat sleeve, slid on the boots, clipped on the dog tag that read John O'Connell. And by dusk he was gone, leaving only a Part 2, the mission that wasn't his. The snow in France was different than back home in Pennsylvania. It was heavier, grayer, and somehow quieter, like the earth itself had grown tired of war. Michael walked through it every day, boots crunching beside men twice his age who had no idea he didn't belong. To them, he was just O'Connell, quiet, steady, sharp-eyed, a replacement who kept his head down and his rifle clean. But inside, Michael was a storm. Every patrol, every gunshot, every clearing they swept, he searched for signs of John. A name etched into a helmet, a whisper from a captured map, a scrap of fabric half buried in the snow. He didn't talk much, didn't laugh. When the others swapped stories about wives and baseball, Michael just listened and stared into the trees. Then came the orders. Their unit was to assist in a late winter push near the Moselle River. The terrain was brutal, mud, and frost and gunfire echoing off broken churches. They were to flush out a pocket of enemy resistance dug in near a ravaged village. Michael volunteered to lead the forward scout team. No one questioned it. Why would they? He was Private John O'Connell, older on paper, seasoned by name. They moved before dawn. 6-man fog low, fingers frozen around cold triggers. The trees opened into a clearing, littered with shell, holes, and the bones of buildings. Michael moved ahead of the rest, low and silent, heart pounding. He wasn't thinking of strategy. He wasn't thinking of medals or victory. He was thinking of his brother. Maybe John had died in a place like this. Maybe he had crawled through snow with no one watching. Maybe his last breath had hung in the same air Michael was breathing now. Then the shooting started. The clearing lit up in muzzle flashes. Screams tore through the morning haze. Michael dove behind a wall, bullets chewing through the brick like termites. One of his men went down with a cry. Another scrambled into a crater, bleeding from the shoulder. Michael didn't hesitate. He ran, not away but forward. A single burst from his rifle silenced a gunner in the trees. Then another shot, then silence again. By the time reinforcements arrived, it was over. They found Michael slumped against a broken fence post, hands still gripping his rifle, eyes open to the sky.
One bullet.
Right through the dog tag. It took hours for the medics to retrieve him. Longer still to read the name stamped in metal. John O'Connell. They wrote it down, filed the report, sent the letter. Back home, his mother wept for the second time, not knowing the truth. Part 3, the truth that came too late. Weeks passed, and then, just like before, a letter arrived, stamped, sealed, formal. It told the O'Connell family what no mother should have to read twice. We regret to inform you that Private First Class John O'Connell was killed in action on February 12, 1945, during operations near the Moselle. The envelope held no mercy, only a folded flag and a tag, John's dog tag. But there was something odd. The boots returned didn't match his size. The uniform had seams adjusted, tightened, shortened, And when the funeral director gently asked for a photograph to help with identification, the mother noticed the pause in his voice. Still, she buried him beneath a white stone with John's name, but her eyes lingered on the tag that lay across the folded jacket. There was a nick in the metal, a bullet's kiss, and behind it, a faint scratch. Letters etched beneath the surface, MCOC. At first she dismissed it, until she went into the barn and found the trunk where John's spare uniform used to be, empty, and the letter from Michael, folded, yellowed, trembling in her hands. If he's not coming back, then I will. Part 4, the name on the stone. She never told anyone, not officially. She let the world believe it was John who died. She let the papers print the name that matched the tag. She even nodded and thanked the officers who saluted her on Memorial Day. But she knew, and when spring came, she planted 2 rose bushes by the grave. One red, one white, side by side, like the boys once were. Years later, school children would walk past the stone in the veterans section of the cemetery. Their teacher would point and say, "That was John O'Connell, local war hero." And one little girl, hand in her grandmother's, would ask, "But who was the other rose for?" And the grandmother, with tears behind her smile, would whisper, "The one who wore the uniform, so his brother could rest in peace." Good Old Days isn't about fame. It's about remembrance. Remembering the past. The love we lost. The heroes no one ever talked about. I create these stories every day, with care, with heart, with purpose. If you believe in hope, in sacrifice, in love that lingers, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs it. Good Old Days, where the past feels alive again.